Hello guys, now that we had done with the fundamental practical side of SQL, it is time now to upgrade our network. So what we'll try to do is to create a SQL failover cluster. And for that purpose, we need Victoria Server 1, Victoria Server 2. And instead of using a Microsoft box as a network access storage, we are going to create a new virtual machine and we install a FreeNAS on it. We'll see all the steps together and we will do it, so we have no problem with that. Now, the main diagram for failover cluster is here on the right side. So on the right side, as you see, you're supposed to have 3 different switches. If you want to attend failover cluster from the beginning, because in here we are not going to do the explanation of all basics, because we had explained that before. First, we have created this network, which you'll see it on the left side, in course 1. We fully created. And then in course 5 with enterprise storage, we had set it up for failover cluster, but at that time, we used, instead of a FreeNAS, we had used the Microsoft box and we configure it as a storage device. Here we'll try to upgrade now and to use different kind of technologies. So that's why we are going to use a FreeNAS, and the reason is because a FreeNAS is very near to the real life. We are going to use this emulator, and later, once you will learn how to configure it using Victoria PC1 as you see here in the diagram, then later you will be able to configure any network access storage device in real life. So that's why I prefer to use it for the purpose of this lab. So the definition of those switches is already in there in course 1. Now in this course 11, which is the first course of SQL Server, we want to see how can I use Victoria Server 1 and 2 to install a SQL Server instance. Just quick reminder with the following. To install failover cluster, you need to have 3 different networks, and that's why in here we have 3 different switches. The private switch 1 will be used to connect the main devices in my original network, and this is what we have in here. All computers to be connected to private switch 1. So this one you can configure it as a domain switch. All the devices can access to each other by using it. Now private switch 2, which was already configured and is going to use the IP address of 192.168.1. This is the network IP for the range of this switch. This one will be used just for the heartbeat. So that's why I will see here in those green links that only Victoria Server 1 and Victoria Server 2 are connected to this switch. And the reason is because according to the definition of failover cluster, one of the nodes is going to be active while the other one is passive, and the passive one is supposed to be able to monitor the active one. So in case if we have any problem with the active device, the passive one definitely in milliseconds is going to change its state from passive to active, take the processing queries from Victoria Server 1 immediately and start to process this data which is being saved on FreeNAS. So that's why we need to have now this private switch. And finally private switch 3, which is again going to work on a different subnet, which is 192.168.2.0 network. This one is to connect my main nodes of the cluster with the storage device. And if you take a look to this design, now our storage device is being isolated from the network. Like Victoria DC1 won't be able to access directly to the FreeNAS. It needs to access by using the main switch of the domain through 192.168.0 network to one of these 2 nodes, and then through the node it can access to the switch. So by this design is most secure for your private storage device, and the devices in your network won't be able to access to the storage but through main nodes of the failover cluster. And of course this is more secure because here you can implement any kind of security settings you want. This is the design which we need to work with it. Definitely in the beginning I need to make sure these 2 servers, the relationship with the domain controller is valid. It is not broken. This is the first thing I need to check. I need to make sure I have all the updates on these 2 servers. And then after that, we need to start with the installation with the FreeNAS. Of course, before that, we need even to download the ISO image. Once we install it, we need to do some basic configuration to it. And then after that, we need to create now SCSI drivers on it. Connect those SCSI drivers to the main SQL servers. Then we need to install SQL Server applications on both nodes, install SQL Server, and finally install the role of database. So this is what we need to do. This lab is not going to be short. It will take some time. Here maybe you're not going to feel that time that much because most of the time when we have something required to wait for a while, we are going to pause and resume after that. But in real life, if you want to implement it, I'm telling you this one's going to take maybe half day, if not a full day from you. Okay, in the next video now, we will start with the preparation of the network, the installation of a free NAS, and we continue from there. By an end of this scenario, we will have a failover cluster of SQL Server, 2 instances of SQL to be run in our network. So continue in the next video. Thanks for watching.